you're right, Amanda. It doesn't stop at energy policy. There are other poor policy choices by the Albanese government that will be fueling inflation if they're not already. Have you got any in mind?
Well, you're right about energy policy. A 43% target by 2030 doesn't just make the price of an energy bill more expensive, it makes everything that requires energy in the supply chain more expensive. And that translates from everything to manufactured goods, to agricultural products, the cost of transport, and ultimately what's in your supermarket trolley. But food is only a part of the story. Energy is only a part of the story. Housing and construction is a big part of the cost of living. By abolishing the ABCC, Labor is giving the green light to the kind of union thuggery that we know makes projects less viable here in Australia, makes it more expensive to deliver the construction that we know Australians need for housing, particularly in times of shortage. We also see inflationary effect in what Labor Orwellianly calls best practice procurement policy, but in effect means that tenderers for government projects must take on the effectively ambit claims of the relevant unions in order to be competitive in contracts and, of course, to force that onto the subcontractors. We also find these inflationary effects in the approaches I think we can expect to see emerge out of this jobs summit. It's really a nice little cloak for shuffling through many of the inflationary policies that unions demand without having had to take them to an election. A way of calling it the delivery of expert advice rather than the kind of deep Labor inflationary policy that would have scared the horses before an election. Together, these are really going to make life so much harder for Australians.
And I think as taxpayers, we need to get angrier than we are about the effect on infrastructure costs of the sweetheart deals with the unions. The CFMEU premium, if you like, is about 40%. That's roughly what it costs. You add to any project 40% if you're going to play it by the rules the unions want to play it by. So that means that we build 10 kilometres of road when we should be getting 14 kilometres for it. We're building a 200-bed hospital when we should be getting 280 beds. There's real cost to this, isn't it? It's not just money that comes out of nowhere.
There are real costs. Those costs are borne by taxpayers, both in terms of fewer services and less economic opportunity that comes from having top-class infrastructure. But we carry the bill. We carry the bill and we carry it in an intergenerational way. And in many ways, governments don't have enough skin in the game of keeping the lid on this, but neither too do the unions or the companies involved. They can just adjust the bill because when they're dealing with big numbers and taxpayer carrying the can, they don't feel the same pressure that the rest of the community does. And it's bred a kind of complacency that makes it seem as though these numbers don't matter, when in fact they matter a great deal to this across the board feeling of inflation.